Hello and welcome to Ben's Addiction. Today's video is very important because it's going to save you at least $1,000 in buying a used or refurbished BCM battery control module for your R230. So make sure you watch until the end of the video. This topic is going to be in two separate videos. In today's video, we're going to cover how to make the module to charge the front battery. In next week's video, we are going to tackle how to make a microcontroller to eliminate the red battery indicator on your instrument cluster. So stay tuned and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share it with your SL friends. Thank you. Let's break down this video to 7 quick and short chapters so everyone can follow and we don't get lost. In the first chapter, we are going to list all the functions of the BCM in a R230 Mercedes and see why do we need one. In chapter 2, we're going to discuss why do we need to replace the original BCM. In chapter 3, we're going to discuss what can be used instead of the BCM and what is the benefit. In chapter 4, we're going to talk about what is needed, what tools and what parts. In chapter 5, we actually work on the module, our own module, we prepare it and we install it. In chapter 6, we make a supervisory panel. And in chapter 7, we will see the results and we will test our module to see how it works. Why does R230 use BCM, battery control module, while other Mercedes like CLK only has the SAM module to control the battery? So Mercedes R230 has two batteries. The front battery is a smaller one, about 500 cca, only for starting the engine. That goes straight to the starter. And then there is the rear battery over here in the trunk on the right hand side that is responsible for all the consumables, including the convertible top. And that convertible top is being used sometimes because there is a button over here and you basically lift the top in order to access the boot. So there's so much consumables and there should be two batteries. And in order to control these two batteries, Mercedes has a module, a BCM over here that many other Mercedes don't have it. It's very specific to R230. One of the main functions of the BCM is charging the front battery. The front battery is separated completely from the rear battery, so this front battery should be saved only for the startup. So for this part, I'm going to use a screenshot from Mercedes WIS because it's the most accurate one. So there are 7 functions according to Mercedes. It controls the battery separation relay K57, checking the running condition of the onboard network area, load the G14 starter battery, that means charging, extracts the function demands also during the operational phase, notes the emergency operations in the failure coding, turns off during voltage surge, and turns off during shortouts. So I have 4 different reasons why you need to replace your original BCM battery control module, which sits over here behind the gas cap. First of all, the fire hazard. Many R230s has caught fire because of that BCM, and it's easy to check it online. Just search BCM R230 fire hazard and you will see many examples of fire being started from the BCM area. The second reason is the malfunction of the original BCM and being unable to charge the front battery. The third reason is the malfunction and getting the red battery warning. And the fourth reason, finally, is finding another genuine BCM is expensive, super expensive. And the module is very hard to find and everybody is after one. So what can be used instead of the original BCM to be safe and to be able to charge the front battery and to be able to isolate the front battery with the rear battery? What we want over here is a DC-DC charger. These chargers are used basically in vans and trailers and most vehicles with 2 battery setups. So in Australia, most people go camping and they usually have a second battery, and to be able to charge that battery and keep it charged, they use these DC-DC chargers. I list all of the brands, models that are appropriate for this purpose in the description of this video, but I'm going to explain more over here for you to realize why this DC-DC charger going to work and what is the advantage of this DC-DC charger against the original BCM of Mercedes. So my car didn't even come with a BCM of R230, so I do not have one to show you. But let's say this is a BCM of a Mercedes, and this is a DC-DC charger that is built in 2021 or 2024. So I've got 5 advantages of using the DC-DC meter over the BCM. The first one being there are many reputable and reliable brands out there for any market, US, UK, or wherever you are. In Australia, Red Arc makes the best one, and this is a great and reliable brand. The second reason is the abundance of used parts like these, and you can buy them on Facebook Market or any used market, and that is going to be a more cost-effective project. These are potted assembly, and it's going to be our third reason. The potted assembly, the chance of fire for a potted assembly is almost 0. The BCM is not potted, and there are lots of electrolyte capacitors inside it. And the fourth reason is the ability to charge different batteries like lithium, AGM, lead acid, etc. So you have this freedom to change the front battery. And the fifth reason, these are modern. I understand that in 2002, when Mercedes built these BCMs, it was a technological advancement, but these units that are coming out, these are very advanced too, and they can absolutely compete with the older modules that are actually very risky and putting your car in danger of fire. This one is almost the size of the original BCM, which is similar to this ASR module. So what about the other responsibilities that we mentioned in the beginning of the video that BCM does? Most of those responsibilities are related to the control. We are going to make a control panel for ourselves to see the voltage of the front battery and rear battery and make sure that our system charges the front and rear battery sufficiently. And also the advantage of using Mercedes BCM over the DC-DC charger is it's a more integrated part of the Mercedes. It receives real data from the other modules, and it also sends real live data to the ECU, so you'll get real data. But the annoying part is you get lots of battery warnings on your dash if this is not working properly. So first of all, you need a DC-DC charger. It should be at least 25 amp. I list all of the compatible DC-DC chargers that you might be able to find, the good brands, in the video description. And depending on the price and availability and the fitting, you choose it. So basically, DC-DC meter, 25 amp, and make sure it is compatible with the battery type that you're going to charge. Mercedes R230 front battery typically is lead acid, but I have replaced it to an AGM, which is better. And the original BCM was not able to charge an AGM front battery, but this can even charge a lithium battery. It's basically the matter of changing the profile to B, C, or Li, which is lithium. Then you need a maxi fuse box. 2 is enough. I've got 4 for spares. So that should come with a cover as well. And it looks like the original Mercedes fuse boxes. And it's small, and you can easily hide it under the carpet or upholstery. Then for the control or supervisory panel, you need a push button, 12 volts. You need 2 voltmeter, digital voltmeter showing volts with some terminals, and you also need an external LED light. If your DC-DC charger supports it, you need some terminals. Depending on the cable size, you will need some terminals. You need to source that out, and you also need some heat shrinks for sure, and having adhesive heat shrink helps. You need some crimper and strippers. You need terminal crimpers, cutters, and 2 maxi fuses. I'm going to use 30 amps. You need some soldering iron and flux, and some wires and cables. These heavy gauge cables are required for this job, but you only need 20 or 30 centimeter of each. You don't have to have 5 meters. And then for removal of the trunk upholstery, you will need some general sockets and screwdrivers. Having a multimeter handy would be an advantage. That's all you need for the first part of this video. To check the functionality of this DC-DC charger, the red arc, I have connected a small battery which is not fully charged. I have connected my power adapter over here, which shows the current and voltage. At the moment, I'm applying less than 12 volts to it, and it's not consuming any power at all, which is great, because if it consumes at a higher rate, it can make the battery flat. So far so good. And then I have this multimeter over here showing the voltage over the battery as well, so we can see the functionality of this. So at 12 volt it doesn't charge the battery. Let's bump up the voltage just a little bit and see what happens then. Maybe 12.6, and see if it starts charging. If it starts charging, we should see voltage increase on that side, as well as current draw on that screen over there. But so far, nothing. So 12.6 volt is not enough to charge the auxiliary battery. And now let's go a bit higher, maybe to... Okay, it started working at almost 8 amp. It's charging the battery. And as you can see now, the voltage is increased at 12.7 volts. It's charging this AGM battery. The profile over here shows profile A because it's AGM, and then the charge status is showing over here, which is great. So basically it's working perfectly. And even if I give it higher voltage, let's say 15 volts or higher, it still charges at 12.8 volts and 1.23 amp. So it's a multi-stage battery charger. The output is the brown one over here, and the input is the red. Black is common, and you can even connect another input, let's say solar battery. So this is working perfectly fine. And if the voltage drops, let's say to 12.4, let's see what happens. Let's say we shut off the engine and the alternator is not producing any current. As soon as it hits 12.4, it should stop at some point. It should stop charging the battery. It's still charging the battery at 12.8, but then now it stops because the battery voltage dropped under 13 volts, which is great. So this means this DC-DC charger is working perfectly. This is a great charger for our BCM. Okay, let's cut some of these wires, the Anderson plugs. I do not need, because these are bulky and these are only good for trailers and camper vans. So we need the brown, we need this black over here, it's our negative, and we need the input, which is the red one. So that's all we need, and then we can start crimping these terminals to them. At least to these three we use, it's a 10-6, so gauge 10. So this one actually perfectly fits. You can also crimp and solder your terminal for added this is not going to go anywhere. You need to pull test it, and then we put the heat shrink around it, and it added extra. Never let the heat shrink to come down too much to cover this flat area. And then let's go ahead and shrink these heat shrinks. This is beautiful crimping and heat shrinking. For this one that we don't need, this is for solar input, and we don't need that. We only need these three wires: negative, input, and front battery charging cable. The diagram over here says that I can add external LED light if I like, and that's the green one. So I'm going to use this green as well, and then cable tie these two because I don't need them. For the input, I have decided to have the 40 amp fuse just to protect the DC-DC charger and also other electrical of the car. Work setting number 1. That does the job, and then the brown one, which goes to the front battery, I'm going to fuse it with a 30 amp fuse. We know that this is a 25 amp DC-DC charger, so should never draw more than 30 amp. That's enough and logical to use a 30 amp fuse over here. And now what was giving me a headache, this is the passenger side of a typical R230, and you see there is a junction box on the left hand side, and there is this cover over here. It's a fuse box. There are two very important fuses in there, and what was giving me trouble was the fuse below underneath that blue fuse. So let's check this out. For a long time I have been checking and I couldn't see the front battery power in the trunk whatsoever. I was tracing it with no luck, and this is a very tight position here, but let's see. So if I touch this, I can see that I've got the front battery voltage, which is 12.5. I know this for a fact because the front battery is at the moment disconnected from any power source, so it has 12.5. So this is definitely the front battery power. What powers it is the other side, and you probably won't be able to see, but this fuse is blown. It's connected to this red. So if we touch this red with a multimeter, you see there is no voltage here. So that's the reason why the BCM was not able to charge the front battery. And this usually throws a code, the red battery light on your dash instrument cluster, because the fuse is blown and the BCM cannot charge the front battery because of that fuse. To replace that fuse, you need to take off the front fuse first in order to access it. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit difficult. It is possible, but why not taking off the blue one? In order to take these fuses, you need to remove the negative battery cables from both battery, front and rear. This is the 200 amp fuse removed. I can say this is a main fuse. And that yellow fuse is now exposed. I believe it's 8 millimeter. To remove the blue fuse, it's 13 millimeter, and it's torqued to, I think, 40 Newton meter or something. But all the specs are here behind the cover. Even with the removal of those two 8 millimeter, you still need to take that bolt off the red wire, otherwise it pushes the fuse in place. Well, I can definitely see this fuse is blown. I don't even need to use a multimeter. See the cut. And this is the fuse box after removal of pretty much everything. It's a bit hard to access because you have to lie on your stomach and pretty much remove everything except those two thick battery cables. I'm going to replace this 100 amp fuse with a 40 amp fuse because I'm not going to draw any more current than 40 amp. It's going to be charged with a 25 amp module, so it doesn't need 100 amp. 100 amp can melt and cause fire to anything. So definitely I'm going with the 40 amp. To remove this module, you've got there are 3 nuts. As you can see, my module is a bit wider, so I cannot fit it completely on this mount. I'm going to smash this stud out, just like this one, so I can use these two and then make an extra hole over here to mount the third stud. And this is my installation. I used 3 bolts and nuts. That's enough for this small module. Okay, I have installed the mount and the module back in place, and it's sitting very well. So what is going to happen here? We're going to wire this up, and to know that, we need to refer to our wiring diagram for the original module. I show it on the screen, and it really helps to identify what is going on here. So this is the cable that goes to the front battery and charges the front battery. So this is going to be on our ground after getting fused. So it's going to go here. These 2 thick cables, if you trace them, one is going to the rear battery over here, the positive, and one is going to the alternator and all the consumers. So these needs to be stay together and bolted properly together. And then from there, we need to get the positive to feed in our module. And that goes to our red over here, and it will be fused as well. Having 2 fuses over here is a bit overkill, but it's better than, having less fuses. The next thing is getting our negative to the module. And that negative is over here, and it's going to go under this harness, which is negative. We're going to loosen that and properly torque it. That's basically the most important part of this wiring, which is now very simplified and very, very easy to understand. At the end, we are going to tidy up all this thing and hopefully find a good place to install this fuse box as well. And these 2 cables that goes to this K57 relay, we don't need them anymore, and we are going to tape them up individually and hide them somewhere. But I leave these 2 relays where they supposed to be. I leave everything original over here so he can go back to factory defaults. Okay, this is what I wanted to achieve at this point of the installation. It's sitting there. The relays are in place. The fuse box I've installed using one small screw and nut. And the wires are tidy as much as possible. I'm going to put another thick heat shrink over here. This is very important to take care of. I put 2 heat shrinks on top of these ones, and it's not complete without our control system, which is going to be 2 voltmeter installed. So I leave this for now, and we move on to the next step where we finally can tidy up everything. Okay, in this section of the video, which is making the control panel for our module, it consists of 2 voltmeters, one for the front battery, one for rear battery. There will be a push button. So when we push it, our negative is going to be connected to these 2 voltmeters, and then we won't draw a current for these 2 voltmeters all the time. So when we push it, we see the voltage, and that's it. And the negative is going through this push button. It's only consists of crimping some wires based on where you want to install it, and using the right heat shrink and terminals and taking your time. Just using different color of wires and just using ring terminals. So where I would like to install my control panel is this area over here. What am I going to use? Instead of individually making hole for each of these, will be 4 of them, because there is the LED as well, depending on your module, to see if it requires or not. That's actually optional. To make it easier, I'm going to install these 4 on the clear plastic, so I can then install it over here, and then Behind that is the module as well, which has some lights as well. The benefit is that I'm going to see the module as well. Okay, in this step you measure everything and center everything and do some calculations so you can make the hole and finish the job. That's all about it, and it's nothing extraordinary and depends on your setup. It might be different from mine. This is how I decided to do it. This is completely up to you, so I'm not going to include detailed video of this section. Okay, now just bench testing my control panel to see the voltage difference between my multimeter and these two voltmeters. If I push this button, 12.6, it's showing 12.5, which is not too bad, right? Only 0.1 is negligible. So they're both in the same page. Actually, they're showing the same numbers and only 0.1 of difference. So very good. Now that I have connected the charger to the rear battery, 12.6, 12.7 the rear battery, and front battery 12.7 as well. Still not charging, because probably the front battery doesn't need charging. After a few seconds of charging the rear battery, let's say a few minutes, the charger started to charge the front battery too, because the voltage of the rear battery increased. Now you can see the drop because it started charging the front battery. But soon it will go up, the rear battery will go up too. Because first it's getting charged, and second, the front battery doesn't need to get really charged. It's only testing the front battery. It's about 10 minutes that the battery at the front is being charged, and I'm here to check the temperature over here on this potted module. It's potted, it's designed to be under the bonnet temperature, and it's doing great. It's only 29 degrees, as you can see, so it's not putting so much heat. It's charging the front battery and it's doing its job perfectly. Here's the state of charge and the battery voltage of the front battery after 2-3 hours of charging. So the charger has been working and it has charged the front battery perfectly. So now that everything is working perfectly fine, I'm happy to check all the connections, make sure everything is in place and no naked wire or anything like that, and torque down these to the specs and tidy up and put the right hand side trim back in place. Okay, I have taped up some of the harnesses to look more like a harness. Okay, this is almost the final look of how it will look. Everything is hidden. 13.2 and 13 volts. I'm going to label these as well, and it's going to be looking good. Also, the module is behind it. Also, the red LED lights on the module might be seen as well. Okay, let's go ahead and start up the engine for the first time and see how it goes. I also have one of these chargers with voltmeter over here, and it shows 14 volts for the whole system. It's definitely the alternator and rear battery voltage. So this is a handy tool to have as well. And with the car running, the rear battery almost 14 volts, the front 13.2. This video took me 4 weeks in research, planning, buying, and execution of the project. I have achieved what I wanted to achieve. In the next video, we will eliminate the red battery light on the instrument cluster together. We will program a microcontroller. It is important that you help me with sharing this video with the SL friends so it can be seen. And if you can, and if this video helped you, please use that super thank button. As usual, thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing. Have a great day. Enjoy your Mercedes, and bye.
Phil.